Okay, Ray, good to have you back. Ray couldn't make it to our class last week about buffers. I hope that situation sorted itself out for you, Ray. Well, here's a handout of what we're going to go through today. First thing on the list, we're going to go through safety. Alright, so we've got to assess our work area. First of all, before we start looking at tools, we need to look around, have a look for anything that might be a safety concern. What can you think of? There's stuff on the bench. Get rid of that, right?
Tools.
Alright, look around under everything, make sure there's nothing dangerous, nothing sharp. And we'll look for trip hazards, water spills, chemicals, anything like that. So you want to make sure your working area is nice and clean, but don't buff anything until we've got a clean bench. Can you think of why that might be?
You might pick it up in the buffer and scratch the surface.
Exactly. We're dealing with very fine particulates in these buffing compounds, and the particulate that buffs this gel coat, they're a lot smaller than the bits you might pick up off the bench. So you've got to put a scratch back into that while you're trying to buff the scratches out. Another thing I can do, if there's a drill bit or a screw on the bench and you buff it, it goes flying off and it can injure somebody or damage property. So they're things that we don't want to do. Alright, just have a look at these buff pads here, eh? Can you have a look through them? There's a couple of different sorts here. What's the difference? Which one's going with which? Have you seen these ones before?
I've seen those, I've never seen those before.
Alright, so you're familiar with those. We've got your screw on bit there. That's obviously threaded for the bolt on the end of that. With another one that's threaded is this one here, but it's full of Velcro. So you've got a soft pad like that that fits inside there, and you've got to tighten that up. Right, they're removable, you can leave the head on. Right, now, which one of these would be appropriate for use at the moment?
The new one?
Yeah, it's the one you want to pat the most. It's nice, it's fluffy, it's new. What's going to go wrong if we use that? How do I feel? You wouldn't rub that on your face, would you?
It's hard.
Yeah, it's all hard, that's right. That's just the buffing compound. It builds up over time and goes into the fibres of the buffing head. What do we do to clean that off?
Wash it?
How would we wash that? What do we use? Will we use thinners? We use acetone, terps.
Wash it up liquid?
Yeah, washing up liquid. We can use a little bit of detergent if you want, and just lots of water. Make sure you get that all rinsed out. When you think you've got it clean it again. Just make sure the water's running clear when it comes off that buff pad, you've got nothing left. And drying the buff pad. You know much about that? You do that at work?
No,
Do you dry the buff pads?
Yeah.
So you just hang them up, get rid of most of the water, and then when you need them, you can put it on the buff and spin it out a little bit on high speed. Make sure you're pointing obviously away from yourself, away from other people, and away from anything that can't get wet. You do it in an outside area, and try not to get on the walls of the factory. Right, so that's your buff pads. Now, I'm going to go through some of the different buffing tools that we've got. This one here is a sander polisher, right? It can be used to either, in this case it's been purposed as a polisher, a buffing tool. Obviously here you've got that buffing pad, you've got the head of the polisher, the body of the polisher, that's the hand grip or the handle, the trigger, and what's this button over here? Turbo.
Always on button.
Yeah, that's the always on button. That's the lock button, trigger lock. We tend not to use that too much in buffing. The reason being, you can get into a lot of trouble if that gets away from you. If a big buff pad like this, there will be times where you've got a different amount of buffing compound on the job. When it starts to dry, it can grip and it can throw away from it. If you've got that button on, or if you drop it, it's going to make a meal out of whatever you're working on. It's going to be very hard to stop. I had an incident once working on a hull mould for Perry catamarans, and it was a 60-foot hull, and we just finished resurfacing the whole thing. I was right up the end of it, and I was sitting on the side of the hull there, and I had to get down to a little bit that was too hard to reach. So I had the trigger lock on, and I was reaching right down. What happened was the lead pulled out of the extension lead, and I put it down to go and fix the problem. I went and plugged it in, and guess what happened? Yeah. It started dancing. It jumped up, fell down in the mould, it jumped around in the mould, it made a big mess, and I had to do 2 more days' work. I've also had friends of mine in the industry that have buffed too close to their body, and that when you're wearing loose clothing, there's a big no-no in the industry. Loose clothing, and you're leaning over like this, and that can wrap around the shirt. Yeah. That'll pull you right into it and do a lot of damage, not just to your shirt, but to you as well. Depending on the material of your shirt, it can tear it to shreds and work its way up into different parts of it. It can do a lot of damage. So, in that situation, you won't have time to take that lock off. So, try not to use the lock button if you can avoid it. What we've got here is the mini buff. This is a pneumatic version. Runs on air. We do. There is the availability in the market to get battery-powered ones, or you can get corded versions as well. Why not I use a mini buff?
Do small things.
Small things is also good for tight spaces and internal corners. So I've got this piece over here. Now imagine I was trying to get in there with a large buff. It would leave me with a big rough spot in the corner that I couldn't get to. Also in here, tight spaces. Yeah. Sometimes you'll find you need to go around where you can't get the other buff, like around handrails and things like that. That's what we use the mini buff for. Again, that's a removable head. This one's just Velcro. And again, when that gets dirty, we just take it off, give it a wash in some water till the water runs clean, and put it back on and give it a little spin out. Now, we've got the buffing pad. We've got the head here. There's a spot here for a handle. If you to make it a bit safer, it stops it jumping up and down when you're using it. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to control. On the trigger guard here, do you know why that doesn't press down? We've got on these ones, because it's a lever trigger, it's got a tendency to be pushed accidentally, like you said. If we leave that there, somebody grabs it or something, it can just start up. So it's got that safety there. We push it in and it'll go straight down. It's been around for about 20 years or so, but some of the cheaper ones won't have that. Just be very careful when you select the one for yourself that it's got one of those on it. Pneumatic tools, always a drop of oil in there to lubricate it at the start of every day. You only need a drop. You only need it once a day. Reason being, if you don't lubricate it, it's going to seize up or it's going to run rough, and all those parts in there that are going to loosen up from all the friction. If you put too much in, it'll come out the exhaust pipe. So these run air through one direction, which spins that around, spins the motor around. If you put too much oil down the line, same as if it comes from a dirty compressor, it'll come down the line and it'll start spraying oil all over your nice job that you're trying to clean up, and that'll just spread it all over the job. So only one drop of oil, and yeah, we just watch out for those ones. Another thing we've got here, that's your die grinder, right? At the moment, it's got a cutting bit on there, but what you can get a shaft, a detail buffer. You can get them either a round one or you can get a pointed one. They come in foam or wool. The reason we would use those, getting into those tight spaces again, that you won't get with this one either. So you can get right into edges and things like that with your round one. So keep an eye out for them. Again, it's got the safety on the trigger. You've got your pneumatic, so the exhaust pipe there, that's going to spray oil if you over oil. But just make sure one drop a day, especially if you're borrowing it, because people won't like you bringing it back to them when you haven't maintained their tools. Right. One thing I'll mention with this big buffer, it again has that hole in the side there where we can put a handle. Now, this isn't a bias tool. It's okay here. It's got one for left-handers and it's got one for right-handers. But when you've got that tool there, obviously it's a lot more stable. It's not going to kick out. Some people will use their hand on the back there to steady it, but after a long day of buffing, the gears in there get very hot from the friction of spinning around, and that motor will burn your hand. So if you can locate the handle for it, I suggest you always use the handle. What we'll have a look at here is when we're buffing, when we pick up the buff, we want to look for that there. All right, we've got the nut, shaft poking through the middle of that buff pad, so you can hear that's hitting the surface and that's going to scratch up. If you hold that flat onto the job, you're going to make a real mess of it. So what we need to do, if we can just grab that one there for me, Ray, we'll have a look at that. Now what this has got on it, this one here, it shortens the shaft of that shaft there, the thread. So you always look for that nut on the back of the buffer. Make sure it's got one. We'll take that off there and we'll put it on that one. I'll get you to do that for me, Ray. This one's got the safety handle. But I'll get you to just push that locking button there. Yep. And there's your shifter. Yep. Just turn it to locks and turn it off anti-clockwise. Yeah, right. Cool. Beautiful. We'll just have a look at that. There's no locking button on this one, so we'll need this shifter. There's no lock on that at all. It's an older type machine. The new ones all have a lock on that thing. We'll get rid of that. We want one with a lock on. Right, so now we've gone through the different functions of these machines and what they may be used for. What we're going to do now is go through the polishes. Well, we've got two different kinds of polish. Why we've got two different kinds?
One makes it shinier than the other?
Yeah, well, one makes it shiny, one makes it extra shiny. Right, so, what we're going to do now is go through the polishes. We've got two different kinds of polish. One makes it shinier than the other. Yeah, well, one makes it shinier than the other. Yeah, one makes it shinier than the other. Before we get to the polish, what sort of grit should we have gotten to with our sanding?
400.
400, no, we're going to go get some more of those 400 scratches out.
600.
600, okay, keep going.
1000.
Well, the coarse cut will get you, this will take out an 800 grit scratch. The problem with only going to 800, hang on a sec.